Welcome to this video on Straighten. Some people like to call it set in order, but here at Lean Smarts we like to call it straighten because nobody has time to say set in order. It's not very lean. Well, in this video we're going to talk about three things: what straighten is and why we do it, how to straighten, and then lastly I'll talk about a few resources you may choose to use when you straighten. Well, let's start with what straighten is and why we do it. Well, first off, we need to remind ourselves what we've already accomplished by sorting the workplace. Because when we sort, we remove all unneeded items out of the workplace so that the only things remaining are the things that we use and need. But now that we have those essential items, who's to say that they're arranged in the best possible way so that it's easy and efficient for us to do our work? Chances are they're not, and that is why we straighten. When we straighten, we purposefully place every tool in the workplace in a designated home. It has to have a home, one that is specific and unique. In fact, I like to say here at Lean Smarts that we hate homeless tools. The reason why is because if it doesn't have a home, it's very likely to get lost. And then that's going to create other problems and challenges when we're trying to get our work done if we can't find our tools. I say this to my wife sometimes, and we're working on it. It's why in Lean there's a saying for straightening our tools, and it's this: a place for everything and everything in its place. Everything needs to have a place. Everything needs to have a home. If it doesn't, then we're going to have trouble. Things are going to get lost or damaged and slow down our work. You see, work doesn't flow when the tools for the job are disorganized. They need to be strategically and purposefully placed so that the work can flow smoothly without hiccups or delays. And that is why we're straightening. So now let's talk about how to straighten. Well, for the most part, you simply want to place the items that you use and need exactly where they're needed. For example, if I'm working right here, I don't want to have my tools across the room, so I have to walk to go get them and bring them back to the work that I'm doing. That's not only a waste of my time, but the company's time and actually the customer's time. They're not paying for me to just get exercise walking back and forth all day. It should be right here so that motion's eliminated. So when we straighten, we want to think just like that, to have all those essential items right at my fingertips so it's easy and effortless to use them. For example, I don't need my measuring cups to be buried in the drawer when where I really need them is at the counter for food prep. This is a much better place for them. It's also visual. I can get them right away if one of them is missing, and it's clear. There's even a label for where each measuring cup belongs. Even the drawer itself can be straightened. There's no need for all my kitchen tools to clatter around in the drawer and be hard to find. They can all be organized and each have a home. You can do this for everything. In general, there are three values that we're trying to strive for when straightening our workplace. And I'm actually borrowing these from the lean maniac, Paul Akers. We're trying to create a workplace that is safer, simpler, and faster. Who can argue with these? I think we can all agree to values like this. It's how we want to think about any kind of improvement, anything lean, especially straightening. Is it safe? Is it simple? And is it fast? If you can say yes to any of those, then it's pretty much a no-brainer. You probably got a good idea worth pursuing. Now, I also want to emphasize one of the 8 wastes of lean. There are actually 8 wastes in lean, and although I'm not teaching what all 8 of them are in this training series, one of them is very important to be mindful of when straightening, and that is motion. Motion is a waste because it doesn't add any value to the product or service that you're offering your customers. I gave an example earlier of having to walk across the room to go get a tool. See, that is an example of waste because it's not adding any value to my work. I mean, here in a kitchen, if I'm cooking, cutting, sauteing something, that's all value added because I'm transforming my product. I'm adding value to the food that I'm preparing. But if I have to go to 5 different places in the kitchen to go get the ingredients and tools and other things that I need, that's all wasted motion. I'm just moving around, but I'm not actually getting any work done. I'm not actually transforming this food into something that we're going to eat. And I could have a very unhappy and upset family waiting on me simply because of how unstraightened my kitchen is. It could be very even organized, but if it's not strategically organized, straightened so that everything's at my fingertips, then it's a lot of wasted motion. So that's why that waste is very important when you think about straightening. Now there's some very simple things you can do to help in your straightening efforts. And so that's why I want to talk about a few resources for straightening. These are very simple materials and stuff that you can purchase at an office supply store, wherever, to help give visual controls and layout and organization to your workplace. My whole purpose in talking about these items is not to get you to go buy something. Actually, you'll come up with better solutions being creative and not spending money a lot of the time. But some of these things are very useful and you may choose to invest in them. Any and all of these things may be useful to you when straightening. Signs, labels, magnets, colored tape, floor tape, Kaizen foam, or shadow boards. You may come up with other items to add to this list or custom items to help get your work done and make it flow effortlessly in a straightened kind of way. And that's awesome. More power to you. I know you're probably an adult, but it is true that it wouldn't hurt and it'd probably do you a lot of good if you brushed up on some of your arts and crafts skills, because this stuff is not complicated. It's really not. But it does require that you get a little bit creative and constructive with your hands. And that's all I have to say about straightening. So good luck. Just remember, a place for everything and everything in its place.